Hello, welcome to HITC Sport. Alright lads, this is just a quick video on the man of the week. Yeah, the guy who I forecast would be eaten alive this season. Rooted to Leeds United bench, crying into his bowl of muesli every morning. But now he's only gone and banged in a Premier League hat-trick. Let's make a deal. If you end up finishing inside the top half of the table this season, then I promise I will personally get a tattoo of Patrick Bamford playing the violin. Okay, right now English football is in love with Patrick Bamford. After a hat-trick against Aston Villa, his 6th goal of the season, Leeds fans would probably willingly sacrifice their firstborn child if it meant they got to kiss him in the face. Right now, each one of you is furiously copulating into their hand at the very thought of shoving Paddy Bamford into their fantasy league team. Don't even try and deny it. He's 5.8, the same price as Che Adams. Of course you're putting him in. Listen, I might have been wrong about this guy, but in my defence, I had seen him look utterly out of his depth for Middlesbrough, Crystal Palace, Norwich and Burnley. At least 4 Premier League clubs who deemed him not good enough, and 5 if you include Chelsea. Before this season, he'd only scored 1 Premier League goal in his entire life. He is 27. That's only 1 more than me. When he was in the top flight, he was easier to mark than a dead salmon, and clearly he had all the upper body strength of a damp umbrella. Right, there's a stereotype out there that footballers are unintelligent. You know, there's this age-old rhetoric that they're nothing more than pampered millionaires who probably wouldn't be able to read a Harry Potter book on their own. Being so dim, they'd probably confuse the thing with a sandwich. People seem to think they can't tie their own shoelaces without help. Bamford, he throws the stereotype out the window. There's a guy who, when he was at school, ended up with 5 A stars, 3 A's and 2 B's at GCSE. He was offered a scholarship to study business at Harvard. Harvard? The place where Mark Zuckerberg and Neil deGrasse Tyson got their goddamn degrees. He plays violin, guitar and the saxophone and speaks fluent French, Spanish and German. Not to mention the fact he's now scoring goals in the Premier League. And I'm not that way inclined, but he's clearly a handsome bastard. Well, I have a face like a foot, so it seems like when God was handing out talents, he went a bit overboard with this kid. Christ above, at least when he was bad at football, then we had something to laugh at him about. But now, he's just Mr. Paddy Perfect. He's got the brains of a scientist and is now on course for the Premier League Golden Boot. It's just not fair. So for most onlookers, this fella, the least intimidating footballer of the modern era, Christ above, he looks like he sings in a church choir on Sunday mornings. He looks like he burst into tears if he made fun of his haircut. But this enigma, apparently he's refreshing for the Premier League public. Why else would my Twitter feed be clogged up with all of you reveling on the fact that I might have to get a tattoo on my body for life? Oh, just you watch. In the next few days, English pundits will be falling over themselves to tip him for an outside shot of Euro 2021. And I know Twitter's also polluted with Irishmen wanting to get Bamford in the Ireland setup. Lads, I would rather stick a newborn child in the Irish team than Patrick Bamford. At least then we might get some funding off the Catholic Church. The day Patrick Bamford represents my proud nation is the day I rip off my knob and become a nun. I would rather sooner take a dump in a lunchbox, stick that in the fridge for 6 weeks, and then pull it out and put that in an Irish kid. I would take a pregnant cat off the street, make love to it 3 times, and sooner put them up front than Patrick Bamford. Bamford for Ireland, it's like seeing Danny DeVito in a fucking wedding dress. It just sort of fills your mouth with the stale taste of vomit. And now, you might think this vendetta is ludicrous.
Oh, Irish guy, how can you think you're above the level of a guy who scored a Premier League hat-trick?
Yeah, I get it. Considering at international level, we're not exactly spoiled for choice. Bamford has already scored 3 times David McGoldrick's Premier League total for life, and he's 32 years of age. Aaron Conley and Shane Long have pretty unspectacular goal-scoring records, while Adam Ida is a 19-year-old child. So yes, Ireland turning down Bamford, it would be a bit like your middle-aged geography teacher who hasn't been touched since 1997. It'd be like her rejecting a date from Brad Pitt. Well, I'll tell you lads, I'll tell you the reason why I have such a vendetta against this man. Go back 5 years ago, and I was at Middlesbrough's training ground, and I walked past this human cheese string, and he didn't really do anything. He just looked like one of those middle-class boy band rejects for talent shows. You know, like something spat out of Union J or JLS. Anyway, he seemed quiet enough, innocuous, but looking at him, he looked like he hadn't eaten a steak in 6 years. I was thinking, how on earth is this man ever supposed to survive in English football? But the reason for my distaste, it's pretty simple. It's not the fact he's built like a tube of Smarties. No, it's the fact that he had his chance to join the Ireland national team. Now, listen, him refusing to play for us, it would have been fine. Many people have, politely rejecting call-ups from Martin O'Neill and Mick McCarthy. Yeah, great, that's exactly what Mark Noble did, as he didn't think it would be fair to take the place of someone who's dreamt about getting an Irish cap as a kid. Yes, Mark Noble, excellent. That's a good attitude to take. And Bamford, having been born near Lincoln, raised in Nottingham, then yeah, I'd be very surprised if he did have posters of Clinton Morrison and Andy Reid on his bedroom walls. But then just tell us that. Tell us that, no, you don't want to play for Ireland. Put it to bed. Just say the word no. It might not work for Harvey Weinstein, but it does for the FBI, trust me. It is the easiest word in the English language. You speak 4 languages. Now listen, these were his comments from 2017.
I'd love to be called up for England. That's the pinnacle of someone's career, to play for the national team. It's still my aim to play for England, but I have my mum's side of the family who are all Irish and they're pushing for me to play for Ireland. But I think I am English and we will see what happens. But I'm not going to rule out either option.
I'm sorry, you think you are English? Not going to rule out either option? No, that was clearly just a lack of belief in himself. That's the only reason he didn't fully rule it out. Because you think you are English, but you're not going to rule out representing Ireland? That's like saying you think you're committed to your wife, but you're not going to delete Tinder. Oh, that's great. Keeping us round as a plan B. Because in the back of his head, he didn't really believe he was ever going to get a sniff under Gareth Southgate. But why are we surprised by this lukewarm commitment? He has played for Ireland before. Just once, back in 2010 for the under-18s. At the time, he was a 17-year-old Nottingham Forest telephone pole, and happy then to accept an underage international cap from a country he probably hasn't even visited. Look at that under-18 squad, Michael Keane and Patrick Bamford. Those two probably wouldn't be able to decipher between the national anthem and the Hobbit theme tune. I'm sick of English footballers using our underage system. And in the case of Declan Rice, our senior team is a set of bastard training wheels as an audition tape for England. Is that all we are? Just practice? And yes, I realise I sound like a hormonal teenage girl who's being cheated on by her last 6 boyfriends, but still.
Bamford and Ireland's allegiance. I've not said yes, I've not said no.
So just tell us no. Don't leave us unseen.
I am not saying no, I'm just concentrating on Leeds. I haven't closed any doors. I've not said yes, I've not said no.
Which just translates as,
I want to get promoted with Leeds, shove myself in the Premier League spotlight, and then hope and pray that England call me up.
But because he's failed in this league before, time and time again, being utterly chewed up by centre-backs like a melted Milky Way, he's just kept us as a fallback option. A plan B. That's what our badge is now. Plan B for bang average England forwards. This is what Mick McCarthy had to say about it at the time.
My last contact with him was on the Saturday morning. They won Friday night. I just congratulated him on his goals and just said if he still wanted to join up, and he said yes. I'm pretty positive.
Great. So you've just told the manager for the country you don't really want to play for that you're still interested in playing. Oh lads, he's leading us on. This reminds me of about 7 years ago when Ireland were sniffing around a young Harry Kane. He was 20 years old, was seemingly not needed at Tottenham, with the club splashing out £30 million on a guy who played in his position. He'd been loaned out to Millwall, Norwich and Leicester and hadn't really done much. And according to Martin O'Neill, Kane was showing an interest in pulling on the green shirt. Apparently his agent was ringing up the FAI and telling them to go watch Kane, who at the time was tripping over his own feet at Carrow Road. So yes, us Irish fans, we were salivating over the prospect of shoving this young Tottenham talent up front, you know, instead of persisting with a fat Daryl Murphy. But just like with Bamford, Kane suddenly broke onto the scene in the Premier League, ripped up the division, proved his worth, and fast forward 6 years, we're calling up Ronan Curtis and Sean Maguire. Price above last, Scott Hogan has 8 international caps for my country. That's how you know things are desperate, and we're just forced to cross our fingers and hope that Michael Obafemi comes good. So yes, theoretically, I would love a player Bamford's ability, but to just completely disrespect our country like that, I would rather prefer an answer. A yes or a no. If you truly feel like you're English, then play for England, or just, at the very least, rule us out. Don't keep us hanging about like a plan B. I don't want Bamford representing my country. So please, fellow Irish countrymen, stop invading the internet, pleading with Stephen Kenny to call him up. If he truly wanted to play for our country, he'd have said so by now. Just because he doesn't have the backbone and nerve to potentially permanently eliminate the possibility of international football from his career for good, doesn't mean he actually wants to be chucked in an Irish shirt. No, he clearly doesn't. And you know what, Paddy B? The feeling is very much mutual. God, I really hope I don't have to get him tattooed on my body for life. Anyway, that's it. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Am I being unfair about Bamford? Let me know. Enjoy the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And as always, I'll talk to you in a while.